Previously on this channel, I've talked about a couple of books that I felt were great guides to helping me write better and that were not specifically about science fiction and fantasy. One of them was McRory's Telling Writing. I come back to that one constantly. And another one that I want to focus on today is a little bit more conventional, but only slightly, because it's not actually a book. It's a card deck. It's a little deck of cards called the Writer Emergency Pack, and it was created by screenwriter John August. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he's a frequent collaborator with Tim Burton. He's worked on Tim Burton's Big Fish, he worked on Corpse Bride, and a number of other projects. And between one thing and another, he created this little deck that is designed to help break up the log jams and the difficulties in your story. And the way this works is, I'm going to provide a close-up of this so you can see for yourself. You open the deck and you take out the top card. And you'll notice almost immediately that when you open the deck, by the way, that you will see two different kinds of cards. There's a top set of cards, which are called the idea cards, and there's a bottom set of cards that are called the detail cards, and the distinction is important. So you always want to keep the idea and the detail cards separated. The idea cards have this on the front, and according to the instructions, which is provided on this handy card right at the top of the deck when you open it, emergency procedures. 1. Focus on the moment in your story that's causing you grief. 2. Draw an illustrated idea card at random. No cheating. 3. Read it, and then read the matching detail card. The card you choose may not seem to apply to your situation. Don't panic. Let the artwork, title, and suggestions trigger new ideas. Most of these ideas will be terrible. That's okay. The goal of the pack is to get you asking, what if? Wrong turns are useful if they get you headed somewhere interesting. So I've already shuffled the top part of the deck. I've already shuffled the idea cards. So I'm going to pull the topmost idea card and talk about it. And the topmost card reads, Start the Clock. It's number 16. The text reads, Deadlines force characters to make choices. How can it be now or never? And so if we go through the deck and pull out idea card, or rather detail card 16, here's what it says on it. Card 16, Start the Clock. Time is the essence of urgency. Consider basketball. Anyone can make 10 free throws in an hour. 10 baskets in a minute, that's difficult. And you always want to make things difficult for your hero. A ticking clock is rarely an actual clock. Instead, it's often phrased as before. Before the bride says, I do. Or before the Nazis cross that bridge. Heroes usually know they're on the clock, but sometimes it's more suspenseful when they don't. If the audience knows there's a ticking bomb under the restaurant table, every moment waiting for the check is terrifying. That's really good writing, by the way. And on the back, there are some suggestions that you can use to this end. From each major character's perspective, establish a deadline or ultimatum. Phrase it like this. If the hero doesn't do blank by blank, then the consequence is blank. Heroes won't always beat the clock. Work through what might happen if they fail. So that's 2 right there. And let me take another 2, just to give you another example. So at the top now we have number 3, Talk It Out. And it reads, if your hero and the antagonist had an honest discussion, what would they say to each other? So let's take out detail card 3 and see what that says. Detail card 3 reads, Talk it out. Perhaps your hero and the antagonist are not so far apart. Or maybe it's much worse than either of them realized. A conversation will make it clear. Sometimes it's a stranger that your hero opens up to, revealing truths she herself didn't comprehend. This conversation may never make it into the story, but it can reveal what's driving your characters in the moment. It may also give you useful dialogue. So don't hold back. Let them get everything off their chests. And on the reverse, we have some tips. List 3 locations or situations in which your hero and your adversary could talk at length. Brainstorm 3 characters your hero could confide in. Imagine a conversation between your hero and his younger self. What advice would he give? If your antagonist is non-human, e.g. a storm, an island, the alien in Alien, imagine it as a person. How does it speak? How would it describe what it wants? So again, as you can see, these ideas and these suggestions may sometimes come at right angles to the difficulties that you're experiencing in your story, but that's sometimes the best way to break up a story's log jams. Sometimes what you need is an outside voice, a completely different shift of perspective, a new framing for everything that's troubling you, especially in a science fiction or fantasy story where the whole point is to have a surfeit of imagination. So I received this deck about, I think, 10 years ago, probably even a little bit more than that, as a gift. And I've been getting great use out of it ever since. And I discovered to my pleasure, when I was researching this video, that the deck is in fact still available. You can buy it at Amazon. And there's also an expanded version of it called the Writer Emergency Pack XL. And instead of having 26 idea cards, it has 52. So at some point, I'm probably going to pick that one up and do a follow-up video about it because I can't help myself. So once again, it's called the Writer Emergency Pack by John August. It is available on Amazon. And I keep a copy right next to my desk for emergencies. And I find I have more of them than I might think. See what you think.